Hello, Internet. It is I, the Malik Aaron, and welcome back to Box Office Predictions. Today, we're going to be talking about Creed 3. So, as usual, we're going to be going over the pros and cons. So, let's get to it. Pros. So, as you know, Creed 3 is a part of the long running Rocky series, a series that started in 1976. So, it's been going on for quite a while. So let's talk about those movies. And this is the first time I'm actually talking about the Rocky movies because when Creed 2 came out, that was several months before I actually started doing prediction videos on this channel. So I wasn't able to talk about them. But now I can, and that's really great. So, ooh, we got to do this in parts. So let's start with the OG Rocky movies, Rockies 1 through 5. So from 1976 to 1990, we had five Rocky movies. And the general consensus for all of them are one is a classic, two is really good, three is there, four is a cult favorite, and five is trash. That is the general consensus for the OG Rocky movies. Rocky 5 is widely considered to be the lowest of the low for Rocky, the bottom of the barrel, the black mark on the franchise. Even Sylvester Stallone has said he hates the movie. I think I'm reading this like off screen. He gave it a 0 out of 10. Oh, man. Oof. And he wrote that movie too. So you know it's bad. Um, and a lot of people are like, okay, Rocky, after Rocky 5, people are like, all right, this series is dead. It's over. Rocky is over. The dream is done. Until it wasn't. Because fast forward to 2006, Sylvester Stallone's like, all right, Rocky, he deserves a better send off than Rocky 5. He deserves better. I'm going to make that happen. And enter Rocky Balboa, which came out December 2006. It was received very well. And it did pretty decent at the box office. It didn't do amazing, but it did better than Rocky 5, and that's the important thing. So it did all right. People were like, okay, now it's we're done with Rocky. This is it. No more. Until fast forward to 2015. And I guess Warner Brothers, I believe it was Warner Brothers, they're like, okay, Rocky, we want to bring this back, but Sylvester, I think he's a little too old to be Rocky, a little too old to be in the ring. So maybe we should try a different approach. Maybe we should, try something different. Enter Adonis Creed, Apollo Creed's son. And that's how the Creed movies were born. Creed is a legacy sequel where the all the events from the previous movies, they happened. Okay, they weren't retconned, they happened. But now we start with a new direction, new cast of characters, new everything. So you have Creed in 2015, Michael B. Jordan as Adonis Creed, and you have Sylvester Stallone as Rocky being his mentor. So Creed came out, received very well, and it did pretty darn well at the box office. So what do? You make a sequel, and that's what we got in 2018 with Creed 2. It was also received well, made more money, and what do? You make another one. And now we're here with Creed 3. So, yeah, the Rocky movies are iconic, especially the main ones that most people talk about are 1 and 4 easily. Um they're some of the most popular sports movies of all time. I mean, so many sports movies are definitely inspired by Rocky. So, yeah, I mean, Rocky is absolutely iconic, and the Creed movies obviously connected to those, directly connected. So, I say that's a good thing. So, and not to mention the last two Creed movies were hits. So, all that being said, like the Rocky series as a whole, minus Rocky 5, is probably one of the healthier series out there when it comes to success. So, yeah, I say brand name recognition is a big pro here. So, that's for both the Rocky movies and the Creed movies, all of it combined. So, that's pro number one. pro number two is our cast here. I mean, our leading man and the director of this movie, by the way, his directorial debut, Michael B. Jordan. We've seen a lot of him in the last decade. I mean, he's been a whole lot of stuff. I mean, I first recognized him from, I think my first memory of him was Chronicle, of super underrated movie that, if only the director of that didn't fuck up his career and make Fantastic, then maybe things would have been different. He could have, that Josh Trank, that was his name. He could have made a Star Wars movie, and he fucked it up. So that's a shame. But yeah, Chronicle is still really good. Really good. I'd highly recommend it. Then you got Fruitvale Station, which I believe was also pretty good. Then That Awkward Moment. Then Fantastic. Ooh, the thing is, everyone gave Michael B. Jordan shit for being Johnny Storm because they're like, wait, Johnny Storm is black? What? Why are you doing this? Keep in mind, this was years before like race swapping became super common in movies and TV shows. But he was probably the best part of that movie. He was the only one who brought any sort of energy to the movie. And that movie was an utter travesty in so many ways. So it's just ugh. Thank God Michael B. Jordan had Creed several months later, because otherwise he would have been screwed. But yeah, Creed made money. Then you got Black Panther, Killmonger. Probably definitely one of the best MCU villains out there, but definitely one of my favorites. And as you know, Black Panther was a stupid success. It made 1.3 billion, 700 million domestically. So yeah, that obviously increased Michael B. Jordan's stock. And then you had Creed 2, which came out the same year, which made more money than Creed 1. So 2018 was a fantastic year to be Michael B. Jordan when it comes to the box office. Then he made Just Mercy, which did, I think, did okay. Didn't do amazing, but it did Then Tom Clancy's Without Remorse. There's no point in talking about that because that went to Amazon Prime, didn't have a theatrical release, so skipping that. And there's A Journal for Jordan, which did really, really bad. No one expected it to do well anyway, so just ignore that. And now we're on, he didn't make a cameo in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. When I saw him, I was like, yes! I was real hyped to see him again as Killmonger. But I guess his cameo doesn't quite count. But he was still in it. He was still one of my favorite parts of that movie. And now we're here with Creed 3. So yeah, Michael B. Jordan, very, very recognizable dude. Especially after Black Panther and Creed. Those two movies, I said they launched him in the stratosphere. Well, that's not all. We also have Jonathan Majors. I'm sure you've been seeing him a lot recently. You saw him 2 weeks ago as Kang the Conqueror and Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. Literally one of the only few things I liked about that movie was him. Okay. Jonathan Kang. He was one of the only things that made me somewhat invested. That whole movie is just ugh. I'll talk about it when I get to my box office recap for February, but yeah. Obviously, Ant-Man 3, a lot of people consider him to be the best part of that movie. And not to mention, like, we're going to have a future Avengers sequel that's literally called The Kang Dynasty. So I imagine he's going to play a big role in that. So with Jonathan Majors as the big bad, and not only the MCU, but also in Creed 3, where he's I guess, technically the antagonist? But he's kind of an understandable antagonist where you can't really hate him, but you still, like, he's going up against Creed, and obviously you're going to root for Adonis Creed. So he's technically the antagonist, but he's not like a villain or anything. Not like a villain like Kang, all right? But yeah, Jonathan Majors also becoming a recognizable face. Very recognizable face. And I guess I could mention Tessa Thompson, but she's not really important here. So there's no real point in mentioning her. I mean, she's been in a lot of stuff. She's in Thor Ragnarok and Love and Thunder as Valkyrie. She was in Men Black International, which was a travesty. Um, yeah, so there's no point really mentioning her because she kind of plays a pretty minor role in the grand scheme of things. So yeah, the cast I say is recognizable, and that's very recognizable. So I say that's a good thing. So that's a pro. Another pro is that competition is kind of weak right now. I mean, this weekend we have Demon Slayer, which is going after a completely different audience compared to Creed 3. And Operation Fortune is looking like an absolute bust. like a I knew it would be a bust. And everything else, I mean, Ant-Man 3 is crumbling. uh and Cocaine Bear and Jesus Revolution, although they did well last weekend, they're pretty niche, and I don't think they're gonna have much of an effect on Creed 3. So I think Creed 3 is good. And besides everything else is just old and dead. So I think Creed 3 is in a very good place when it comes to competition. For now. For this weekend. Things are great. So when it comes to current competition, there's not much out there to really do damage to it. So that's a pro. Absolute pro. Another pro are the reviews, which are quite strong. Quite strong. Very strong. It's at 87% on Rotten Tomatoes, the critic score. Audience score is even higher at 96%. So word of mouth is just a complete non issue. People are really, really enjoying this movie, it seems. I mean, I was a little worried about the movie because I'm like, because the whole thing with it was like the lack of Rocky, and I'm just like, can Creed escape Rocky's shadow? That's the big question with this movie, and the consensus is yes, it can step out of Rocky's shadow. It can stand on its own 2 feet. So yeah, yeah. So quality is a non-issue here. Yeah. So yeah. Word of mouth. Well, I can check its cinema score. I'm pretty sure I can. I'm gonna check it really fast. Creed 3 has A minus. What were the other Creed movies? Creed had an A. Creed 2 had an A. Creed 3 A minus. That's odd. It's not a big deal. An A is an A. It doesn't matter. So yeah, word of mouth, really good pro. Trying to think of some other pro. Well, I guess I can mention his Thursday previews, which are really good, by the way. It opened with 5.45 million. Although I have to put an asterisk beside that because these numbers include both Thursday previews and apparently some Wednesday night previews, but that were like in IMAX. But apparently, I read a Deadline article where 74% of this number was from Thursday. So I'm gonna have to do this off screen. I'm gonna have to bring up a calendar. Jesus Christ, calculator, a calculator. Okay, so let's do some math. 5.45 times 0.74. We get all right. So according to my calculations, on Thursday it made about $4 million, a little over 4 million, which is still a really good number. I believe that's the second best of the year so far. I mean, that's higher than Mithrigan. That was like 2.75, and higher than Cocaine Bear, which was 2, and higher than Jesus Revolution, which was 3.3. But that was had a whole lot of early previews to boost that number. Um, and compared to the other Creed movies, which I know comparing this to those is a little problematic because of the release date. But might as well just look through them anyway. So Creed 2, its Tuesday previews were 3.7 million. And for Creed, if I can go to it, all right, Creed did, or will they show previews? Give me, yes, 1.4 million. So Creed 3 is a huge step up in comparison to the other Creed movies when it comes to previews. So that's great. That's really good. So Creed 3 is in a great place right now financially. at this point in time. It's in a really good place. So Thursday previews are definitely a pro. Trying to think of some other pros. I think I covered all the main things. Okay, cons. The big con I had, this was before the movie came out, is that obviously Sylvester Stallone is not in this movie. Rocky is not in this movie. So the big question was, will people still care about these movies if Stallone isn't in them? Because one could argue Stallone was kind of a crutch for the first two Rocky movies, trying to like, I guess, get people to watch those movies. But now he's gone, so all we really have is Adonis Creed. I mean, this is his story, but now it's really his story. There's no more Rocky. He doesn't have to deal with Rocky anymore. Because I believe Rocky is Rocky dead. I think he had cancer, and I don't think he decided not to get treatment for it. I think he's dead. I'm pretty sure he's dead. I haven't seen Creed 2. Maybe if I saw Creed 2, that question would be answered. But I plan on seeing Creed 2 this weekend before I see Creed 3 because I want to be caught up with everything. But yeah, the big problem, or at least the big potential problem with this movie was, the lack of Rocky. And it doesn't seem like that's a problem anymore. So that was kind of a con I had like well in advance before the movie came out. That it's proved to be completely unnecessary to even think about. So yeah, but I just wanted to mention that. But the an actual con is the rest of the month. You see, March is steep. It is competitive, like hella competitive. Every single weekend in March, you have a big-ish movie coming out. Next week, Scream 6. The week after that, Shazam 2. The week after that, John Wick 4. The week after that, Dungeons and Dragons. All back to back to back to back. That's going to leave Creed 3 no room to really breathe. Like, this is going to be its one weekend to shine before another movie takes its spot. So, yeah, that's going to be a problem. I mean, maybe it won't be such a huge issue. I mean, if its legs are good, if word of mouth is really good and has good legs, then the other movies won't be a huge problem. But, and besides, like, actually, I think its audience would overlap with some other movies like Shazam 2 and John Wick 4, especially John Wick 4, and Dungeons and Dragons. Scream 6, I don't think that will be a big issue. But everything else, it will be an issue. So, yeah. Competition coming up. Big con against this movie. It could be a con against longevity. Its potential longevity. But yeah, we'll see. But yeah, I consider that to be a con. And I think that's it. I can't think of any other cons. I think this movie is in a very good place right now. So, all right. So opening weekend, I know going back to the other Creed movies is kind of a problem because these movies, not only did they come out, this is coming out in March, while the other two Creed movies came out in November, but not only in November, but they came out Thanksgiving weekend, which means they open on Wednesday, which makes comparisons. We're literally comparing apples and oranges doing this. But looking at the 3-day weekends for Creed and Creed 2, Creed 29 million, Creed 2 35 million, and the 5-day for Creed is 42, Creed 2 56. So from the for a compare like look at the 3-day weekend, I think Creed 3 is gonna beat Creed 2. I think it's gonna have the biggest opening out of all the Rocky movies. Granted, not in terms of inflation, but whatever, in terms of raw dollars. So with its Thursday preview, I'm gonna say it's gonna open with 45 to 50 million. I think that's reasonable. I don't expect it to have a super front loaded start. I don't think like the audience is as it's not like an MCU audience or like it's like a fanboy fueled audience. So it might pull an Avatar or like a Top Gun Maverick or like Avatar 2 or a Top Gun Maverick where the audience isn't like they're not like we're gonna see this day one and that's it. There's no rewatchability, no rewatch value. I don't think it's gonna be like that. So I'm gonna say 45 to 50 million 3-day weekend, and its total. I expect decent enough legs. I'm gonna say 130 to 150. I'm gonna have a wide range. 130 to 150. That's what I'm going with for its total. It will be the biggest out of all the Rocky movies or Creed, the whole series, in terms of raw dollars. Because inflation wise, no, absolutely not. But it will be a big hit. It will get. March will start off on the right note, and that's what we need. Because March, this is the most important month. This is one of the more important months of the year when it comes to the schedule. Now the schedule is lined up. This is the first big month of the year. All right, so it needs to go well. If it doesn't, ooh, that's not great for the rest of 2023. So yeah, that's Creed 3. So we have two more movies to talk about this weekend. The new Demon Slayer to the Swordsmith Village and Operation Fortune, and that'll be it for the weekend. So yeah, that's it. That's all. Make sure to subscribe, like this video, leave a comment, turn on notifications, share the whole drill. Want to check out more videos like this? I got playlists on the homepage, all previous prediction videos I made this year. If you want to watch any of those or any other prediction videos I made the past few years, you can go right ahead. There's also the canceled series where I go over all the movies that were supposed to come out but didn't. Creed 3, I have talked about it 2 times in the past. 2 times. The first time was episode 46. Yes, 46. I talked about it alongside Black Widow and The Unholy. That Black Widow, oof, that aged so bad. So horribly. Oh, man. Yeet. Ugh. But that was when Creed 3 was supposed to come out in Thanksgiving, and then that release date changed. And I made a second video about it, which was episode 145. Almost 100 episodes later. Wow. That is weird. But yeah, so Creed 3, I talked about it by itself because it got pushed to March, where it's out now, its current date. So yeah. So those 2 episodes, if you want to watch those or any other ones I've done recently, or since I've been doing canceled, I know I've done some recent ones. I think I've done two, where 179 was about like Paw Patrol, the Mighty movie, and the holdovers, and the most recent one I did was about the Super Mario Brothers movie. So if you want to watch those episodes or any other episodes, you want to watch them all from beginning to now, I highly encourage it. Just binge it all, go do it. There's also box office recaps where I go over the box office results for any particular month. February recap should come out next week. It is gonna be a interesting one to say the least. Oh, that month. Oof. I have a lot to say about the movies I saw in February, but we'll deal with that when I make that video. So stay tuned. But if you want to watch any of the past recap videos I made on the channel, you can go right ahead. And yeah, that's it. That's all. I am out. Goodbye.